Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are really happy to have you with us today. On behalf of the Melasoft team, thank you for joining this session where we'll be exploring the e-invoicing process in Croatia and how we as Melasoft are approaching it with our solution. I'm Aicha, and I will be guiding you through today's session. In just a moment, you will be hearing from my colleague Sultan. As you may know, Croatia's Fiscalization 2 framework introduced a new phase focused on B2B invoicing with specific regulations, technical recruitments, and deadlines that businesses need to prepare for. And we will be talking about what's currently happening under this new framework, what's changing, what needs to be done, and how Melasoft is helping companies navigate this transition smoothly and compliantly. And Sultan, welcome. Great to have you with us again, and we are looking forward to your insights on this important topic. So let's get started.
Thank you, Aicha, and hi everyone. It's a real pleasure for me to be here today and to walk you through the invoicing regulations in Croatia. We have been following the regulatory landscape very closely, and today I will try to give you a clear and practical overview of what is changing and, more importantly, what you can do to stay ahead of it.
Thank you so much, Sultan. So, before we dive into the content, let me quickly walk you through today's agenda. We will start with an overview of the e-invoicing process in Croatia, what's changing and what's mandatory and when. And then we will take a closer look at the Melasoft solution, of course, what we offer, how we approach compliance, and of course our solution in SAP. And all right, now let's get into the real content. So, Sultan, to kick things off, can you give us a big picture overview? What's happening in Croatia right now, and when it comes to the e-invoicing process?
Thanks for the question, Aicha. Let's start with the overall picture of what is happening in Croatia right now. Croatia is making a big shift in how invoicing is handled, both in terms of technology and compliance. What we are seeing is a part of wider move across Europe towards structured, government-monitored invoicing. Invoicing is already mandatory for businesses dealing with public authorities, but the really big milestone is coming in 2026 when a B2B invoicing becomes the only legally accepted format. And it doesn't stop here. The B2C transactions are also on the roadmap planned for 2027. So basically, no matter who you are invoicing, digital will be the only option. And what is also important here is the model itself. Croatia is aligning with what is called a continuous transaction control approach, similar to systems already in place in the countries like Italy or Spain. So there is real-time reporting involved here, not just sending an invoice, but also submitting payment and delivery data through the official reporting system. And please don't forget, recipients will have the right to accept or reject an invoice within a specific time window, which makes visibility and traceability absolutely critical for businesses. So yes, this is a compliance topic, but it is also a chance to modernize and automate how invoicing is done. With the right tools, this transition doesn't have to be painful.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you so much, Sultan. So just to recap briefly, we are talking about a phased rollout with B2G already in place and B2B coming in 2026 and B2C following in 2027. And now, I think many of our attendees are probably wondering how much time to do businesses really have to prepare, and when does it start getting real in terms of compliance pressure? And please, can you walk us through the timeline and what kind of preparation period companies actually have?
Absolutely, and thanks for that great question. The rollout actually began years ago with B2G, first mandatory e-invoice reception in 2018 and issuance in 2019. But where things get serious for most businesses is January 1st, 2026, when B2B invoicing becomes the only legal valid format for domestic VAT-registered companies. Before that, there is a transition window starting in September 2025 when businesses will be also start testing their systems with the reporting platform. And honestly, that is a window companies should absolutely take advantage of. Then in 2027, we enter the B2C phase, which broadens the scope even further to include nearly all business types. So yes, the pressure point is 2026, but real preparation starts much earlier. Integration, testing, partner coordination. So these things don't happen overnight.
So now that we have covered the what and when, let's move on to the how and how e-invoicing will technically happen in Croatia. There are a few platforms and terms here like FINA and Peppol, and that some of our attendees might not be fully familiar with. So let me ask this: what's the actual infrastructure behind all this? And especially for those hearing Peppol for the first time, what role does it play?
Yes, thanks for this point, Aicha. At this point, it is completely normal if you are thinking what exactly is Peppol. Let me break it down. So in Croatia, the central invoicing platform is called Service i Račun za državu, and it is operated by FINA, the National Financial Agency. So this is the local backbone of how invoices are exchanged in structured format between taxpayers and the public administration. Now, in short, Peppol, in broad terms, pan-European public procurement online is a standardized and secure network for exchanging invoices, especially useful for cross-border transactions. While yes, it is not yet mandatory in Croatia, it is expected to gain importance as the country aligns with EU-wide initiatives like the VAT in the Digital Age framework. Melasoft is already a certified Peppol access point, not just in Europe, but also in countries like Malaysia, where it is already being used. So we are fully prepared if and when Croatia makes Peppol a requirement.
Thank you again, Sultan. So far, we have talked about the overall mandate and platforms, but this is where things start getting a bit more technical. And one point that stands out here is that companies can just connect to the B2B invoicing system on their own. So they need a certified intermediary or, in their words, service provider. So can you help us understand what this means in practice? Why is direct connection restricted? And what does a company actually need to do be a compliant in the B2B space?
Yes, very good point, Aicha. And you are right. This is where the technical and legal framework really tightens. So in Croatia, if a business wants to send invoices to another private company in a B2B context, it can't just upload XMLs or send them via email. The connection must go through a platform managed by FINA called FINA B2B e-Račun. And here is the key point. Only certified intermediaries or service providers are allowed to connect to the systems. So that means unless you are an officially authorized intermediary, you cannot interface with the system directly. And becoming one involves meeting legal, technical, and security requirements. So for most businesses, the realistic path is to work with a certified service provider or integrator that already has access. So this ensures not only compliance but also smoother implementation because these intermediaries usually offer additional services like validation, error checking, archiving, and reporting. So yes, the structure is restrictive, but it is also meant to ensure data integrity and proper control under the Fiscalization 2.0 framework.
Oh, all right. All right, so now that we have talked about how invoices are exchanged, and let's look at another important piece of the compliance puzzle, signatures and storage. This is often where companies get confused, actually. So, when is an electronic signature required, and what are the rules around archiving? Sultan, can you walk us through what the requirements actually are and what businesses should keep in mind going forward?
Yes, Ayça, absolutely. And you are right, this is one of the most commonly misunderstood parts. Let's start with signature. For B2G, meaning invoices sent to government entities, electronic signatures are not mandatory. The central platform managed by FINA guarantees the integrity and authenticity. But starting from January 2026, for B2B transactions, electronic signatures will be required. This means every invoice between private businesses will need to be signed with a qualified signature. Now let's talk about archiving. Whether you are in B2G or B2B, once an invoice is issued, it must be stored for 11 years in a legally compliant and accessible format. So this isn't just about sending invoices, it is also about ensuring long-term traceability and audit readiness.
Thank you, thank you. Um, this next step is where things start to get very specific, especially for businesses preparing their system for 2026. So we see this term KPD 2025 a lot in documentation, but many people still ask what exactly is it and why is it important for invoicing? And please, could you explain what this classification is all about and what businesses are actually expected to do?
Yes, Ayça, absolutely. So KPD in Croatian terms, Klasifikacija proizvoda po djelatnosti. In English, Classification of Products by Activity 2025 is basically Croatia's official system for classifying goods and services. It is like a product catalog for tax reporting. Every item or service you include on an invoice must be linked to the correct 6-digit KPD 2025 code. This ensures consistency and traceability across different systems. It is based on the EU CPA 2.0 classification standard, so it also aligns with cross-border and EU-wide compliance expectations. Now, this isn't something you guess or assign manually. There is a search platform called Classus, provided by the Croatian Bureau of Statistics, where you can look up the right codes. In practice, this means your invoicing system or your ERP needs to either integrate with these codes or allow you to assign them easily. Otherwise, you will run into validation errors during submission. So while it might sound like just another technicality, it is actually one of the core requirements for issuing valid B2B invoices in 2026 and beyond.
Mhm.
And just to show you what it looks like, this is the official classes platform where you can search for the correct KPD 2025 codes by category or keyword. It is publicly available on the Croatian Bureau of Statistics website, and it is the reference points for all classification work moving forward.
Oh, all right, Sultan. Now we are getting into formats, and this is where it can feel a little overwhelming, right? And there is UBL and CII and EN 16931 and something called CIUS. So with all these technical terms flying around, and what should businesses actually focus on when it comes to invoice formats? Is there a default or does it vary depending on the use case?
Yeah, great point, Ayça. And yes, at first glance, it can seem a bit too technical, but it is actually not that bad. Not that bad once you break it down. For BTG invoices, so when you are invoicing with public authorities, Croatia has adopted the European EN 16931 standard. and which is based on formats like UBL 2.1 and Peppol-ready. The government also officially recommends using a OSS UBL 2.1 syntax, which is one of the most widely adopted formats across Europe. And an alternative that is also accepted in the cross-industry invoice CII format, which is used in certain sectors with more complex structures. And on top of that, there is a national specification called CIUS. This stands for Core Invoice Usage Specification, which ensures alignment with Croatian VAT rules. So what is the bottom line? If you are working with a solution provider like us, format compliance built into the system, you don't have to manually worry about what syntax to choose.
Okay, thank you again. Now, when we talk about channels, things can get a bit confusing. National platform, intermediaries, Peppol, it's a lot. So, what does this actually mean for a business? Which channel are they supposed to use depending on who they're invoicing?
Yeah, good point to touch. And I agree, it can sound like alphabet soup at first. So here is how it works in Croatia. For B2G transactions, all invoices must go through the national platform called Service İletişim Zadurjevu, managed by FINA. For B2B, things are a bit different. You are not allowed to connect directly. Instead, you must use a certified intermediary. These are licensed service providers that have direct access to the FINA B2B system. Then there is Peppol, which, as we mentioned earlier, is not mandatory in Croatia yet, but it is expected to play a bigger role in the future EU-wide cross-border scenarios. That said, it is worth noting that it is worth noting that in the fiscalization law version 2.0, Peppol is not explicitly mentioned. However, the system is technically structured to be compatible with the Peppol framework, in line with the EU's VAT in the Digital Aid Initiative. And under the Fiscalization 2.0 framework, it is not just about sending the invoice. Both the issuer and recipient must report extra data like payment and delivery status to the tax administration for audit purposes. So in short, who you are invoicing determines the channel, and the data doesn't stop at the invoice. It continues after the transaction. So for those of you wondering what is happening behind the scenes, this is essentially the flow of and how an e-invoice travels through the system in Croatia. It all starts with the sender. Your ERP system generates an invoice and sends it through a certified information intermediary. Then there is a bit of technical magic. The system uses metadata from the invoice to find the right recipient, determine how they receive messages, and pass everything through the central message processor or MPAs. The message is then delivered via protocols like AS4, which ensures secure transmission. At the other hand, the receiving party gets the invoice, confirms delivery, and the process is closed. It might look complex, but most of this is invisible to the end user. The key is using a solution provider that handles all these technical steps in the background, like we do at Melasoft.
Nice. Nice. Thank you so much again. And all right. So now we are talking about the legal backbone of the entire rollout. And it sounds like things are becoming very real and very soon. With this fiscalization law 2.0 now in place and a testing deadline approaching fast, I'm sure many of our attendees are wondering, what does this mean in practice for businesses and their solution providers? Sultan, could you walk us through how this testing requirement actually works and what kind of steps companies should expect next?
Yeah, absolutely. This is where the things shift from preparation to actual compliance. The Fiscalization Law 2.0 was officially published on June 13th, and what it mandates is pretty clear. All access points must successfully complete technical testing before they are allowed to operate under the new system. That includes not just invoicing, but also fiscalization and the routing logic handled through MPS, message processing system. And this becomes mandatory starting September 1st, 2025. So we are not talking a tear anymore. This is the final scratch. The government has set up a testing portal, which is accessible through the Porezna platform, and it allows providers to validate different scenarios, invoice creation, delivery, audits, logging, and so on. So if you are working with a solution provider like Melasoft, a lot of this is already being handled behind scenes. But from a company perspective, it is crucial to understand that passing these tests is what enables your invoicing to legally go live.
Perfect. Perfect, Sultan, thank you. And so we have heard this word fiscalization a few times already today. So, and I think now is the perfect moment to clarify what it actually means. It clearly plays a different role in B2C and B2B scenarios. Could you help us understand what fiscalization really is and when businesses need to think about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Fiscalization is essentially a real-time tax control mechanism, sorry, designed to ensure transparency and traceability, especially in retail transactions. In B2C, it is mandatory. Every transaction, whether by cash, card, or post, must be reported to the tax administration in real time. Before the receipt can even be printed and handed to the customer, the system must return a unique code called JIR, which confirms that the transaction has been validated. But in B2B process, it looks quite different. There is no JIR code and no point of sale control, but fiscalization still happens just in another form called reporting. Here, compliance is ensured through a multi-layered approach. First, the e-invoice itself must be delivered not only to the buyer, but also often in real time to the tax administration. That alone is a core part of fiscalization in the B2B context. On top of that, e-reporting obligations require companies to send additional transactional data such as payment status or invoice rejection to create a full digital audit trail. So while the tools and flow are different, the goal remains the same: tax visibility and control. In short, for B2C, think point of sale compliance. For B2B, think structured digital exchange with invoicing and e-reporting working hand in hand.
Thank you. Thank you for the explanation. That definitely helped clarify the difference between B2C and B2B fiscalization. So now we are moving into the area of e-reporting, which, let's be honest, often creates a bit of confusion. We know it's not the same as e-invoicing and it's clearly not optional, but for B2B companies specifically, what does e-reporting actually mean in day-to-day terms?
That's really good question. And yes, this is where the invisible part of compliance comes in. Reporting means that you are not just sending invoices, you are also reporting related events to the Croatian Tax Administration. For example, if a customer makes a payment, that payment must be reported along with the amount and payment method, helping the tax authority match invoice data with real cash flow. If a buyer rejects an invoice, you also need to report the rejection reason, and it has to be done within 5 days. But there is more. Even when no invoice is issued, such as certain types of deliveries, these must still be reported. This ensures that all taxable activities are tracked, whether or not an invoice was formally generated. So really, it is about providing full transaction visibility from invoice issuance to delivery to payment or rejection. It adds a layer of accountability that goes well beyond just sending XML files.
Thank you. Sultan, now we are seeing a model that shows how B2B and B2G transaction are proceed in this new system. So could you walk us through how this flow works in real business terms?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we are looking at here is the core of the Fiscalization 2.0 framework for B2B and B2G transactions. In this setup, invoices are exchanged digitally between sender and receiver, but in parallel, reporting data is sent to the tax administration. This isn't fiscalization in the traditional sense. There is no JIR code or real-time receipt validation like we saw in B2C. Instead, it is a structured data flow where systems, typically through intermediaries or certified solutions, send invoice metadata, payment status, delivery confirmation to tax authorities. So the core idea is while the transaction happens between two businesses, the government stays in the loop through the real-time or near real-time reporting. This is how Croatia ensures transparency without slowing down B2B operations. And it is also fully aligned with the EU's direction under the VAT in the Digital Age initiative.
All right. So now that we have gone through the overall flow, the reporting model, so let's get into the practical side. What exactly needs to be captured and reported in B2B and B2G transactions? From a technical and operational standpoint, what should companies be preparing for at this stage?
Yes, that's exactly the right question at this point because at this stage we are no longer talking about if you need to comply, but how. Although there is no real-time receipt validation, your invoicing system must still be connected to a certified solution provider and capable of sending invoices, payment status, delivery confirmations in a structured and auditable format. While invoices must be reported in real time, they do not require real-time approvals or validation. Still, all reported data must be traceable and subject to audit.
All right, and that was a deep dive into the regularity and technical side. So thank you for making it all digestible, Sultan. So now let's shift gears a bit. We have talked about what needs to be done, and but how exactly does Melasoft help businesses do it? I see we have two solutions paths here. Uh, could you walk us through what these options are and who they're best suited for?
Yeah, of course, Aicha, and I'm glad we are at this part because this is where strategy turns into action. At Melasoft, we offer two main approaches depending on how companies want to manage their invoicing compliance. For businesses already running SAP, we have a fully integrated SAP add-on. This plugs directly into the SAP environment and allows users to manage all compliance tasks like invoice generation, submission, and reporting without leaving SAP. On the other side, we have the Melasoft portal, which is a web-based solution. It is ideal for companies that either don't use SAP or want a more flexible external platform for handling invoicing. It is also designed with end users in mind, making it easy to use without technical expertise. As you can see on the screen, this is a screenshot of the portal interface, highlighting its user-friendly design. For detailed information, you can book a demo from our melasoft.com website as well. So both solutions are fully compliant and aligned with local requirements. It really comes down to the level of integration you are looking for.
Yeah, thank you. So far, we have seen the big picture options. Now we are getting into the nuts and bolts of how they actually work. And could you walk us through these AR and AP automation features? Also, how does Mela AI fit into the process? When should a company use one or the other?
Yeah, great question. This is where automation really starts to shine. Let's start with a accounts receivable automation, AR automation, which is about sending invoices. Whether you are using SAP or our portal, the system pulls invoice data from your ERP, converts it into the correct format, validates it in real time for compliance, and sends it securely to the recipient, all automatically. Then on the accounts payable side, AP side for receiving invoices, we can capture supplier invoices from email, parse them using OCR tool, and feed that data directly into your ERP. We also run compliance checks before anything is posted. Now, for companies receiving a lot of paper or scanned invoices, there is where Mela AI comes in. It uses our OCR to extract key fields like supplier name, VAT, amount, and turns them into structured and machine-readable data. From there, the system pushes everything straight to your ERP for validation and posting. No more manual keying or errors. So whether you are on SAP or using our standalone portal, the goal is the same. Automate everything, reduce risk, and stay compliant.
All right, Sultan. Now we are looking at the what seems to be the full picture of Melasoft's invoicing architecture. Could you help us understand how all these components fit together? Maybe you can walk us through what each model does and how it supports the overall flow.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you are seeing here is the complete landscape of our Melasoft invoicing solution, particularly on the SAP side. Let's start with the outbound invoice cockpit. This is where all your outgoing invoices are prepared and submitted to the government portal, following all formatting and validation rules. Then we have the inbound invoice cockpit, which receives incoming invoices, especially from government portals, and pushes them into SAP for processing. The application programs are user-facing tools, screens, or reports that make it easier for your teams to interact with the invoicing logic. Below that, we have periodic programs. These are scheduled jobs that automate routine tasks like data sync, batch submissions, or log generation. And finally, on the right side, you will see the custom programs and tables. These allow us to tailor the solution to your specific organizational structure or business rules. So altogether, it is not just an integration, it is a full platform that gives you control, automation, and compliance all inside your SAP environment.
Thank you, Sultan. So we have seen the structure, the automation, and how the pieces come together. But when a company chooses a solution like Melasoft, what's the real day-to-day benefits? So these highlights seems promising. Could you talk us through what they mean in practical terms?
Yes, sure. This is where it all comes together. The first big value is simplicity. With one solution, you can send and receive invoices in different countries. So, whether you are operating in Croatia, Germany, or even Malaysia, you don't need to manage multiple tools. We also support all mandated formats, UBL, CII, Peppol-biz, you name it. So you are covered whether it is B2G, B2B, or cross-border. One thing our clients love is that there is no need to modify their existing processes, whether you are on SAP or another ERP. The solution works with what you already have. And if you are doing cross-border trade, we offer direct Peppol network connectivity since Melasoft is a certified access point. And of course, going live is just the start. Our team provides full support and maintenance after the implementation, so you are not left on your own. So overall, it's a compliance solution, but more importantly, it is an operational enabler.
Mhm. Thank you so much, Sultan, for this clear and insightful overview. And I think everyone here now has a much better grasp of both the regulatory landscape and how Melasoft can support their transition. Now, before we wrap up, we would like to do something a little different for the question and answers. Q&A, instead of a traditional real-time session, we have prepared a few yes or no recap questions based on the key points discussed. So just to reinforce the takeaways and make things more memorable for everyone. So before showing our solutions, I would like to start to ask my yes or no questions. Okay, my first question is this. Is B2B invoicing becoming mandatory in Croatia as of January 1st, 2026?
Yes, it should be absolutely yes.
Nice. So, do companies need to use a certified intermediary to connect to Croatia's B2B invoicing system?
Again, yes, it should be.
Thank you. And is Peppol currently mandatory for domestic transition in Croatia?
No.
No.
Mhm.
Will Will B2B invoices require a qualified electronic signature starting from 2026?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, my question is coming. And does e-reporting include the obligation to report invoice payment and rejection data to the tax administration?
Yes, definitely.
Is real-time receipt validation required for B2B transaction under Fiscalization 2.0?
No, no.
No. And my other question is, um, can businesses test their system on the official platform before the 2026 deadline?
Yes, the test period starts in September 2025.
Thank you so much. And is the use of KPD 2025 codes mandatory for item classification on e-invoices?
It is absolutely yes, and it's an important point.
Mm-hmm. And does the e-reporting obligation in Croatia require invoice level real-time reporting rather than periodic and or BAF submissions?
Yes, each invoice must be reported individually and in real time, not as part of aggregated or delayed submissions.
Mhm. And is the OASIS UBL 2.1 format one of the recommended invoice standards in Croatia?
Yes, absolutely.
Nice. And does Melasoft offer both SAP integrated and portal-based e-invoicing solutions for the Croatian market?
Yes, we have both SAP integrated and portal-based solutions for invoicing process in Croatia.
Amazing. And are printed paper invoices still legally valid for B2B transactions after 2026?
No, I'm sorry, but no.
Thank you so much. I think that's all. And great job, everyone. And thanks for joining in. And Sultan, thank you again for the great insights earlier. Now, to make things even more concentrate, and we would like to show you how our solution actually works inside SAP.
And before closing, I would like to thank you as well, Aicha, to having me in this webinar. And I want to see you in another topic with another webinar, then, let's say. So, shall I leave now?
Yeah, you can leave. You can leave. Thank you for everything.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Bye
Yeah.
bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you. So, at this point, I would like to hand things over to Celalettin, our ABAP developer here at Melasoft, who will walk you through a live demonstration of the e-invoicing solution and its key features within the SAP environment. So, Celalettin, the floor is yours.
Thank,
You can start to show our SAP solution.
yes, thank you. Can you hear my voice now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jalaluddin, as my colleague introduced me. I'm an ABAP developer in Melasoft. Without waiting you too much, I'm starting to share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
And before starting to explain our solution, I just need to, how can I say, shorten and clarify some things. And in our solution, our purpose is to create electronic invoice while the user's creating invoice using SAP standard modules, for example, SDFI and MM, using standard screens, VF01, etc., and etc. What we are doing is to collect data from the exits from the SAP standards. We are collecting data and creating an XML which is valid for the countries. For example, Germany, we are creating the Peppol UBL 3.0 XML format. But for example, in Croatia, we are creating UBL 2.1, and it can change from country to country. But to clarify the logic of our solution, what we are doing is to create an electronic invoice by collecting the data. Today, I will try to explain you how we are collecting data, our framework tool. I will try to explain our framework tool to make this process more flexible and more easy, not only for the users but also for the developers. How to make this process more easy. And also, I will try to show you our outbound and inbound cockpits, which we are using, and our customers are using to display the electronic invoice which they have created. And also, I will try to show you how we are sending documents easily to the integrator that we are working with and the portal. And also, I will try to show you how we are collecting the invoices which came to you to the portal. We are collecting them, as you know, to bring them SAP by parsing and show them in our inbound cockpits. Let's start. I want to start to create an invoice in standard way. So using SAP standard T codes, I will try to create a new, let's say the first deliver, and then I will create an invoice. As the user came and using standard screen, create an invoice, let's say, and yes, as you can see, the document with 15, let's say 46 has been saved. And at that point, I will show you our framework tool, which is working when the user create the invoice, our framework tool by the methods that we wrote there, collecting data according to the formulas that we wrote in it. Let me show you the screen. Sorry, here. Yes, as you can see. And while user creating an invoice, by using this screen, as you can see, this framework tool, what we are doing is to decide for left side, you will be able to see the XML fields, for example, invoice parties, invoice notes, invoice reference. Those are all the parts of XML, and maybe you are familiar with the screen. And as you can see, for example, invoice parties, let's say the first party and party name, it's C is customer. So, and in the endpoints field, it's IV, and left side is the fields of the XML, and the right side you are deciding from which standard table that you will collect this data. By only writing this, you are telling the program that collect this data for this endpoint ID from KNA1 STCD2 fields, collect this data and bring it to the XML. So it's so that easy. But if you want to change it, for example, you can say, let's raise it, and let's say collect this data from these tables, these fields. So it's very easy, just to show you that our framework tool. And we are using that tool to make, as I told you before, make not only the user's job easy, but also the developers also, because the mapping is taking so much time. By developing this tool, we are making this time very shortened. We shortened that time very much. So I need to introduce you this tool. After showing you this tool, what we have done, we have created an invoice, and I have shown you how we are collecting data while the users create the invoice and the framework tool. Now we came to our outbound cockpit. As you can see, this is this filtration screen you are seeing now, and you can manage all the countries from one screen. For example, if you want to go to the company code, which is your company which is located in Germany, you are using our Germany package. then the only thing that you need to do is to click the Germany company, and you will see the Germany cockpit. And also, if you want to go to Croatia, you will just, the only thing that you need to do is to choose that company which is located in that country. For example, right now I will show you our Croatia HR01 company. Let's bring all invoices. Yes, as you can see, this is our outgoing cockpit, and the invoice which I have just created is here at the first line. You can remember from the number. And here, let me show you the XML which has been created when I just click to the save button. As you can see, this is the XML which is valid for the Croatian government, UBL 2.1 in UBL 2.1 form. And to make you, how can I say, to clarify the framework tool, I just need to tell you that, for example, in the previous screen, I showed you that, for example, the endpoint ID for the customer, supplier parties, and endpoint. The only thing, if you want to change the logic, the only thing is to change the in that screen, change and tell that not take from KNA1 and from STCD2 table, but take it from another places. So it will change the logic and create the XML as the formula, as the logic that you have put into the framework tool. Just to clarify this logic, I just need to tell it. Anyway, let me continue. We are creating an HTML view for the users, make the user's job easy. For example, if the user wants to see the detail, what's in the invoice, can open this HTML view and see what's happening in the invoice. And also, normally we are able to show the PDF, but in Croatia, the government does not provide any PDF. So we are not displaying PDF, but if your company has your own PDF, other form, or smart form, we are able to display it by using that button. And you can attach something to the XML. It's also possible for you to attach it by using that tool. And also, you can send mail by this button. Also create your own template and save and delete it. Add also your own attachments, and after deciding this recipient, the only thing that you need to do is to send the mail. So it's also possible to do it from our cockpit. Also, you can add notes to the XML. It's also possible for me. Let me do it for you. For example, I add test in here. It will be displayed. Sorry, break it is.
No problem.
And you can do several things using our cockpit. We are also logging if there's something problem occurs, and for example, if the invoice is not valid to send, you will be able to display the logs in here for SAP side and also portal side. If there's a log, you will be able to display the logs in here. And then the user only thing that the user needs to do is to send the invoice. And after several seconds, the invoice will be sent to the portal. And you can also check the status of the invoice. As you can see in Croatian, it's saying that it's in process. And let me show you the portal. As you can see, the outgoing documents, you will be able to display them from here. This is our invoice, which I have sent before, just before. And also, if you can also display the PDF, which has been created by the integrator, and you can also display it. And also, if you want to download the XML and also the document, you are able to download it PDF and XML from here. Now I will show you how we are collecting the data, and we have job to collect the invoices. The only thing is to execute this job program, and the invoice will bring to the system. Let me show you our inbound cockpit. The same logic is outbound cockpit, so you can use this filtration screen to go different cockpits. And this is our invoice. This came to our inbound cockpit. As you can see, you can also display the XML, which is signed and certificate, let's say. And also, if you want to reject the invoice, you can reject it and change the status as rejected. And let me do it by telling the rejection reason. And also, if you have any partial payments, the only thing that you need to is enter the partial payment, and then the invoice will be rejected. Let me show you also in the cockpit here. As you can see, the status changed to rejected for our invoice, which has been created just before. And in Croatia, you need to inform government by e-reporting that the invoices that you have rejected and the invoices that you have payment for. So it's also in development status by the integrator. So also our package will be able to do also this for your company. And those are the things that I want to tell you about our solution. And also, we have a lot of customizations table. We are using those customizations table for making our package more flexible for the users and the developers. And if you want to change something in the future, you don't need to. You will not need us to change it. You can come to that customizations table, and according to the documentations that we will give you, you will be able to make your own developments, own customizations, and etc. etc. So that's all I want to tell you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elaine. Thank you for every information that you gave
You're
us.
welcome.
So I would like to remind you that also, we have portal solution. Our portal solution is for end users, so we don't have only SAP solution. I just wanted to remind it. Also, we already mentioned about our portal solution as well in our slides and with with Sultan. So if you have any questions of like about our portal or about our SAP add-on solution, don't hesitate to reach out to us. So thank you for everything. Thank you for joining us today, and take care of yourself, and see you next time.
Thank you. Goodbye.